Chief, do you have an order or at least a list of people that are going to be talking in what order?
I set this up, but Kathy is going to run it. So I'm sure in her head she does. Dean Shan.
I just want to make sure I don't go before Drew because then he'll spoil all of my stuff, you know? So I want to make sure I go before him to beat
There you
to
go.
beat
Well,
him to the punch.
he does outrank you though. So
I think he outranks both of us.
he does. That's why I'm staying out of it. You doing okay?
Oh man, Peachy Keen. I think that's it. For the longest time, I thought it was Peachy Clean, but somebody corrected me on it finally.
That would have been hilarious because this is being recorded. Good morning, Yvette.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well.
I'm happy to go last, and that maybe everybody's covered my stuff, and I can just highlight a couple of things.
I was going to
Laura's
claim
thinking
that.
the same thing. We could have done it in person.
It's true.
Well,
It's
had you
pretty
guys
good.
wanted to do it in person, we would have done it in person.
Too cold.
Too cold.
It is cold. Very cold.
Well, Laura, that's just when you schedule it for the MT room, and you don't have to worry about leaving your building. Just be smart.
I was going to say, we're not doing it outside.
Right.
And Chief, you'll be proud. I actually prepped material for it.
Very good.
Get my gold, my 10 points or whatever, gold stars.
Oh, no. That won't
No.
happen. No. Nice try, but no.
I don't see Kathy on this yet.
Oh, she just joined. I see her down there.
I gotta get used to doing Teams versus
Zoom.
Zoom, so I know where the mic is. That's my biggest problem.
Well, you said Kathleen, and that I don't know any Kathleens. I know a Kathleen. So
yeah, Ed calls me Kathy, so it's like okay.
Just to bother her, you know.
Duly noted.
All right.
Well, I was trying to figure out who Kathy is. I'm like, who is Kathy running this meeting?
Yeah. So, all right. And somebody's already clicked recording, so we're good there. Well, we'll go ahead and get started since we've got so many presenters for this session. And thank you all for coming. We hope you enjoy this get to know university compliance and administration. And as Ed described, everything you always wanted to know about all these fun business practices at the university. So my name is Kathleen Schmand. I am the Dean of the James E. Walker Library, but I am co-chair of the Campus Workforce Subcommittee for the Community Engagement Advisory Group. And we're so pleased to bring this Get to Know Your MTSU session for you this month in November. We have a long list of presenters, so I'm going to tag each one of them individually. I'm going to go ahead and start briefly as Mark Burns, Provost for Academic Affairs, sends his regrets and apologies. He had to cancel at the last minute and won't be able to join us. But Mark Burns is the Provost and Chief Academic Officer. He oversees academic affairs. That is the division that is responsible for the institution's educational mission of teaching, learning, research, and academic policy. And so he's got areas of curriculum and instruction, faculty affairs, student academic support, research and scholarship, as well as enrollment management. The registrar, interestingly, is also part of academic affairs. So that's just giving you a really quick overview of academic affairs. I'm happy to answer any questions at the end when that time comes, if I can, related to the operations and anything you need to know about academic affairs at that point. But I'm going to go ahead and I would like to invite Yvette Clark, who is our Vice President of Information Technology and CIO, to begin with her 5-minute, who are we, what do we do, and how can you work with us going forward?
Well, thank you for that introduction. As Kathleen said, I am the Chief Information Officer as part of my title. So basically, it's not just digital information, it's any information, whether it's paper or any other forms that we store. So my office has the responsibility of making sure that we're compliant with several different laws that kind of go across all of our broad spectrum of responsibilities. The big one, the GLBA, the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act, is a financial one where we have to protect the non-public personal information for any of the financial transactions that the university partakes of, because we are a financial institution. Along with that, the PCI DSS, which is the payment card industry data security standards. And so we make sure that those are all done compliant with collecting those payments digitally and processing through our systems. The HIPAA, the health stuff, the FERPA, most of you have familiarity with, and then the personally identifiable information are all federal level acts that we have to follow, but they're also, like California has some state ones. There's a few other states that we have to stay in compliance with. And then the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulations, which came out of Europe several years ago, which we have to follow. Any questions on any of that? If you have any questions about how we handle data or what you need to do if something happens, you just need to reach out to either me or my security officer, Deb Zigalov, and we would help you with that. And if you're not sure who to reach out to me, and we'll make sure that we deal with it. Usually anytime something happens and somebody questions it, we just do an investigation. It's been a while since we've actually had an incident that was reportable, but we do investigate to make sure that we have not compromised any of those sections of data in any way that we shouldn't. And we do have a time limit on actually submitting that information. Sometimes it's 48 hours, sometimes it's 72 hours, but the sooner that you can get with us, the sooner that we can make sure that we investigate and make sure that we're okay as a university as a whole. So any questions on what ITD does for compliance? I shall pass it off, Kathleen.
Right. All right. Thank you so much. And again, if you think of something as we go through, you'll get an opportunity towards the end to be able to ask questions. So next on my list would be Amanda Arnold with Compliance and Risk Management.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
So yes, I'm with the Office of Compliance and Enterprise Risk Management, and it's kind of a mouthful. So I tend to say CAREM. And we are more or less catch-all for things that don't otherwise have a home. We partner with other areas. Some of the things that were mentioned with ITD, we help with that. So if you were to look at our website, you're going to see a long list of topics that include FERPA and financial and P-card and all of that as well. But our primary responsibilities are with risk management. So we do the enterprise risk management aspect of things by doing a risk report. It's an annual risk report. If you're involved in that, You already know that you're involved in that. You receive a lengthy questionnaire, and we compile that lengthy questionnaire into a risk assessment for the state. We also manage the records management database, which is records of your records. The state of Tennessee requires that each individual employee of the state has to maintain their records according to the state's guidelines. So our office is not the originator of those requirements, but we do follow along with them. And the way we manage that is by reporting back to them to tell them that all of you are following what they've told us you should do with your records. So that's through the records management database. If you're a records coordinator, you hear from me all the time, probably more than you would like. But if you have any questions about records management, you can look at our website, and all of the resources available to me are available to everyone else as well. And then the last thing I'll mention that's primary responsibility for Karam is Policy 90. That's our MTSU Athletics Integrity and Conduct of Athletic Staff policy. So yearly, I go around and train all of the student athletes and all of our athletic staff on that policy and handle anything that arises with that. So that's what we do. Any questions? You can find resources on our website. You can email us. We have multiple emails. You can email me. You can email Karam. You can email records retention. But no matter where you get to, we'll do our best to help.
Thanks, Amanda. So moving on to our next presenter, I would invite Leah Ladley, who is our Chief Auditor here at the university.
Thank you, Kathleen, and good morning, everybody. So who we are the Office of Audit Services. Over here, we're between HR and alumni. We sit in the little white house there, and we welcome you to come by and talk to us about things that you have concerns about. So what we do is audits and consultations and investigations. So our audits are planned, and they're basically, we decide that something needs to be audited because there are questions about it or something has changed, and we need to just check and make sure things are happening the way the policy says it should, or the way the law says it should, or whatever the guidance is that guides that process. And so audits typically are a backwards look into transactions to see, did they happen the way that management described they should in a policy, or the law that says that they should happen a certain way. And advisory services or consultations are more of we have a situation, we don't like the way it's working, we'd like to change it to do it this way. Will that still cover our bases, and will still things be controlled like they should be? And so that's how we do a consultation. Consultation, you're more in the driver's seat than I am, and you decide how far we're looking, and basically our advice would probably or could be different if we did an audit. But if we do a consultation, then it's kind of a limited scope by you, and we give you advice on that specific part of the process that you have questions about. Investigations come to us from many different areas, different ways. We might get an email, we might get a phone call. Lots of times it's an after hours phone call that says, hey, I've got something going on over here. I've been looking into it a little bit, and I think you might want to come look at this. And we come and we look at the documents, we interview people, we try to figure out what's going on. And if sometimes it's a bad actor, and we kind of hand that over to HR or Christy or whoever is over that actor. And sometimes it's a bad process, and we'll look at the process and decide that certain controls need to be put in place or need to be more rigorous or things like that. So internal controls are more our avenue, and the bad actor, bad people gone astray, that's for somebody else usually. So we'll hand it off there or work in partnership with somebody else on campus to handle that piece of it. So yeah, that's what we do. Audits, investigations, and consults. So we're here and we're happy to help you. And sometimes a consult can go a long ways to prevent you from having an audit because we know a little more about a process. Sometimes an investigation opens into a full-blown audit, just depending on what's going on in the area. So yeah, we're here, and kind of like the government, we're happy to help.
I love that. All right. So next on my list is Drew Harple, our Vice President for Administration and Finance.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. It's cold this morning. I find it impressive that we went from it being shorts and t-shirts on Saturday to the snow this morning. Anyway, I'm over the Division of Business and Finance, which is composed of a dynamic network of offices and departments that help keep our campus running efficiently and support our shared mission of student success. We have several operational units that work behind the scenes that help ensure a safe, functional, and responsive environment for teaching, learning, and working. We have events and transportation, which coordinates the logistics for university events and manages our fleet operations, as well as our parking system, which I know is everyone's favorite subject. We have the business office, which is about overseeing the financial transactions in the university, and that includes the bursar's office, invoice processing, post-award grants. And we have the budget office, which oversees, surprisingly enough, the budget. Our Office of Campus Planning guides our long-term development and capital projects. So all the new buildings you see, they get project managed through our Office of Campus Planning. And Facility Services helps maintain any of the buildings and facilities anywhere on campus. You've previously heard from our Chief of Police in a prior segment of this. And you've already heard from Amanda Arnold today in the Office of Compliance and Enterprise Risk Management. You'll also hear from Laura here in a minute on the role of HR. Mike Zierman on our post-award grants process, and Zach Labartz on the Office of Admin and Business Services, all of which are part of the overall Division of Business and Finance. So as you can see, there's a lot that goes into the operations of a university that is functionally a small city, but we've got a great team doing a lot of great work. I'll kick it back.
Well, that was beautifully concise, Drew. I mean, that's a whole lot of stuff in like 2 minutes. I love it. All right, so next on my list is Zach Labartz, who is another Assistant Vice President for Business and Finance. You want to tell us what you do and what your office oversees?
Of course. Well, just a little more formal introduction. I'm Zach Labartz. I'm the AVP of Admin and Business Services. Just to give you kind of a wide berth of what Admin and Business Services here is on campus. So Admin and Business Services consists of procurement and logistics services, snack and vending, the contract office. I'm sure most of you, if you haven't already dealt with them at some point, you will. The post office, and surprisingly enough, I oversee the business relationship of the bookstore. Just to kind of give you guys a wide berth, a little bit of each of those, procurement and logistics services, that's, they provide P-card training and support. We also do manage the warehouse logistics services side, manages your moving and receiving services, such as, if you need anything moved, surplus property management, computer and electronic recycling, and they assist with records keeping and disposition, meaning we have a location off campus that does provide some support for storing records that need to eventually be disposed of. Snack and vending, that's managing all the vending contracts, working with Tennessee business enterprises like Dwight's Mini Mart and those type of things. The contract office, we review about 1,500 contracts a year for MTSU. That's everything ranging from if somebody needs a study abroad contract to maybe there's a signature event artist that's coming up in the future. It goes through the contract office in some way, shape, or form. Procurement specifically, the most important thing for them is if you need anything, if you're buying goods or services or you need a consultant, they are the ones to go through. They will help you either find the contract compliant vehicle to purchase it, or they will help you bid it out. So if you need anything, if you're buying anything from them, that's the way to go. Post office, we handle everything on campus from ingoing and outgoing mail. We also provide passport services and all that fun stuff. So if you do need a passport, go to the post office and they will help get you taken care of. Now, I will say the most important thing, or now at least one of the most important things to me, is if you have any problems with any of these areas, please, not saying that you should, but if you do, feel free to reach out. I also do oversee the relationship with Barnes & Noble, so for the Phillips bookstore. So if there's anything on that side, if you're a new faculty member or if you're having another issue with first day or adoptions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I can help provide support in a lot of different ways, only if I know about it though. So with that, in short, if you're buying, shipping, mailing, moving, vending, contracting, or selling, it likely touches the admin and business services areas. So with that, Back to you, Kathleen.
Man, you guys are so sharp. So just to put on your list, Zach, for vending, I've got staff that have been asking me about ice cream vending machines, as well as technology equipment vending machines, like, USB drives and cords and cables and all that kind of fun stuff. All right. So I would like to invite Christy Sigler. She is assistant to the president for the Office of Civil Rights and Compliance.
Good morning, all. Yeah, so our office underwent a name change this year. So if you hear people refer to IEC or Institutional Equity and Compliance, that's actually us. We are Civil Rights Compliance now. But we have a small shop here. Our office handles ADA compliance, so that's the Americans with Disabilities Act. Dr. Lance Alexis is the director of ADA compliance. He's housed in our office. And then we have 2 full-time civil rights investigators. So anytime that there is a concern about someone being discriminated against or harassed based on a protected category, those concerns are dealt with through our investigators. And if you're wondering what a protected category is, they are sex, race, color, national or ethnic origin, which includes anti-Semitism, religion, disability, age, if you're over 40 and you work here, status as a protected veteran, genetic information, natural and protective hairstyles for employees, or anything else that the government decides is a protected category. So if the state legislature decides that, tattoos are now going to be a protected category, then that would also fall under our office. So anytime that someone has a concern related to discrimination or harassment, they can reach out in a number of ways. We get phone calls, emails, people walk in, that's fine too. We're open from 8 to 4:30. We don't close for lunch. And then we also have a web portal. So our website has information regarding all the composition of our office. But one of the things that it has is a link to report discrimination or harassment. So you can find our website at crc.mtsu.edu. It's pretty easy. And the other piece of what our office does is related to HR. We review employee applications in the hiring process to make sure that there's no discrimination in that process. And so that's it. We do ADA, discrimination or harassment, and employee reviews. Back to you, Kathleen.
All right, fantastic. So that is a good segue, and I'll invite Laura Gent to tell us about human resources as the new assistant vice president for human resources.
Thank you, Kathleen. Yes, I am the AVP of HR. Soon to be, probably we're going to join the 2020s and become human capital management. You'll hear us referred to with Oracle. We have 3 little divisions within HCM or HR, and that is employment. So we get you in the door. Employment consists of employee events, employee relations. So we do investigations, or we help you with situations that do not involve Christy's office. And we have a division that helps you with your employee benefits, and then a group that helps you get paid in payroll. And because human resources is so self-explanatory, most of you know what we do, I thought I'd start with just tell you some updates of things that are going on that affect everyone. I just wanted to let you know probably what's on most of your minds, and that's money. And that's you'll want to tune in to the Board of trustees meeting tomorrow. You will hear more about any kind of market increases that are coming in the future. Also, beginning today, you'll notice a slight change in the way you either approve or you enter your time and leave. And I'm going to put a link in the chat, or JT is going to put a link in the chat that will help you if you get stuck. We've had several people question. There's a link that has a training video and documentation should you have any questions on the way pipeline looks now. Also, surely by now you've heard that Banner HR, not Banner Student, but Banner HR is changing to Oracle Cloud, and that project is in full swing. We'll go live on January 1st of 2027. There will be a campus-wide kickoff in December, and there's a link in the chat to the True Blue Fusion to help you find out more about that project. I recently met with the Faculty Senate President-elect Patrick McCarthy, and we already have several projects in the work for the spring, and I'm excited about that. So faculty will be affected. And also in the spring, beginning January, HR is launching a monthly newsletter with information specifically as like a supervisor toolbox and to increase communication with the campus. So you'll see that every month. And as a preview, we're going to put a link in the chat to a ton of links that we share with employees, just a helpful handout that we give new employees and new employee orientation. And then finally, we are having an employee service awards on December the 4th. I just wanted you to know that our door is open and we're here. If you have any questions or concerns, come see us.
Sounds great. All right. Let's go to the Office of Sponsored Research, and I believe Mike Zimmerman and Zimmerman. I pronounced it incorrectly? I apologize. And Rachel McGinnis, you're going to tell us about grants.
Thank you. I'm Rachel McGinnis. I'm the director of the Office of Research and Sponsored Programs. We fall under the Vice Provost for Research, and we handle all matters related to research and sponsored activity at the university. We're split into several areas. We have the pre-award area that'll help you find funding. They'll also help with completing the external funding contracts through Cayuse, which is our software program that we use. We complete the required forms and assist you with the budget documents and do all the submittals. Also, when the awards come in, we make sure that we can be compliant with all the requirements of the grant, and then it moves over to Mike Zierman at that point. In our office, we also take care of the compliance areas. So if you're doing any research with human subjects or animal subjects, that would run through our office. If you're traveling internationally, you'll normally hear from us. We'll reach out to you on export control issues. If your research comes through our office and there's any export control, we also reach out to you proactively. We take care of conflict of interest, and also if there's any institutional biosafety issues, the Institutional Biosafety Committee runs through our area too, along with intellectual property. So any questions with intellectual property at the institution run through here. I'll turn it over to Mike to talk to you about post-award.
Thank you, Rachel. For those who don't know me, I am Mike Zierman, not to be confused with Mike Zimmerman, who we do actually have. I think he works in IT. I am the Assistant Director of Grants here in the business office. You may have heard that as of July 1st this year, our post-award specialists have moved over here to the business office from ORSP. So now all of post-award administration is here under one roof. I'll give a quick overview of some of the main things that my team does. Then I'll talk a little bit about compliance, and I'll leave you with a few pointers to avoid any pitfalls. So some of the things that we do, as Rachel mentioned, once we have a fully executed contract or award letter, they send us notice to get your award set up. So we set up positions, we establish the budget, create any match indexes, F&A indexes, sub-award accounts, so on. And then we send out communication to campus about your new award. Then we do internal reporting. So we're going to send out periodic reports for your project. That includes transaction details. So every single transaction expense that's charged to your award, summary reports, automated closing notices as you draw near to completion. We also do external reporting. So this is the financial piece. These are generally going to be quarterly, annual financial reports. They're specific to each agency. The PIs will be responsible for submitting the programmatic reports because they're going to be most familiar with the project. They can best speak to the overall progress of the project. We also do higher level reporting to state and federal government. We do invoicing and drawdowns. So we draw down funds as necessary. We send invoices per contract requirements. We make sure that those funds are receipted properly. We manage cash flow so we don't have excess federal funds on hand. We do accounting adjustments and entries. So this includes interdepartmental charges, corrections if something was purchased by the wrong or charged to the wrong grant index. We do year-end payroll accruals, things like that. We also do monitoring and audit. So we field questions from agencies. We're their main point of contact for desk reviews, monitoring visits, as well as with the state audit at year end. And then project closeout. So we ensure that all the milestones are met, all the reports are completed, submitted, all the accounting is correct, and we close out the project in the system. So those are the main components. We're also just your main go-to for questions that arise throughout your project, like how to pay someone or how to purchase something or whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. We should be your go-to person. I'll touch a little bit on compliance. Pretty much everything that we do is related in some way to compliance. I won't get too specific because there's so much of it, but I'll go over just the general layers of compliance that we deal with. So the first is federal. That's going to be uniform guidance, otherwise known as 2 CFR 200. You may have heard it referred to as OMB circulars. This is essentially the baseline for general grants administration. Most agencies typically point to it. It basically says what you can and can't do with grant funds. Then we have the state of Tennessee. The state has its own policies. As a component unit of the state, we are bound by state policy. So if the state says we can't do it, even if federal guidance doesn't necessarily speak to it, we must abide by state policy. It's generally going to be a little bit more restrictive. We don't usually run into a lot of issues with state versus federal. And we have agency project specific. So the awarding agency is going to have their own terms and conditions. For example, they might put a limit or a cap on indirect costs that can be charged to a project, or they may restrict the ability to adjust the budget. They're going to have their own specific requirements pertaining to invoicing, reporting, and project closeout as well. And last but not least, we have MTSU policy. So there's certain things that MTSU does not allow. And without exception, that's going to be the top layer of compliance. So there's numerous considerations when it comes to working with grants. There's times where policies might conflict. Our job is to hash out those policy questions. At any given time, MTSU has between 160 and 200 grants each fiscal year. We have grants from federal and state agencies, private corporations, nonprofits, other universities, municipalities. I could go on, but each of these agencies does things just a little bit differently. I hope that doesn't scare you away. It is a lot, but our job is to keep you in compliance with your grants. We always welcome any questions. If we don't know the answer, we're happy to help you find the answer. We know who to ask, and please feel free to reach out. And I'll leave you with a couple tips to avoid any pitfalls. The first is plan ahead. So plan to do things early and ahead of schedule. Don't leave things until last minute. Things like payroll have deadlines, fiscal year end has cutoffs. all the time we see purchases that have back orders, shipping delays, equipment has lead time. The second one, I would say review your project often and thoroughly. So the reports that we send, look through those, look at every single transaction, make sure that that transaction makes sense, that you know what it is, that it should be on that project. And if you don't see something that you think you should be seeing, let us know, and vice versa. Because corrections do take time, and a lot of time we're under deadlines for things with the agency. So the third and final one I would say is communicate and ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask too many questions. We'd rather have there be too many questions than not enough, and either run out of time or have to make corrections after the fact. So that's all I have today. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Mike and Rachel. Really appreciate it. And so last but not least, I would like to welcome Danny Kelly, our Vice President for Student Affairs, to the floor.
Good morning. Student Affairs in the Dean of Students area is comprised of 14 unique areas, and it runs the gamut in regards to their purpose and function. So I'm going to highlight the areas that I think would be you would most likely to interface with instead of going through every area. So the first being our student care and conduct. Obviously, we have to be very mindful of FERPA and HIPAA laws when that office receives word of a potential violation or even a care issue where students need to be checked in on, even it not involving an issue that rises to a behavioral judicial matter. So it is important that if you come across an issue, whether you think it rises to the level of being a infraction, you can always call the Dean of Students office and let them know, and that area will investigate and make the determination. One of the things that we often have frustrations with faculty, staff, and students is if they're involved with reporting an issue, they want to follow up and find out what's happened. And we cannot share that information because of confidentiality. Again, whether it's a FERPA or HIPAA violation. And that would be the same thing with student health and also our counseling center, who deal with very sensitive matters. I know we've had some frustrated because they felt they heard that a student may have been hospitalized and they're wanting that information. And unfortunately, we cannot release that. There are cases where a student can fill out an ROI or release of information in order to share information with parties that the student would really want to have access to that. Student activity fees is a big one. Our student organizations can apply for funding to support their programs, conferences, retreats, and so forth, and to position ourselves to ensure compliance. We do require them to attend workshops so that they understand the step-by-step process. We require them to submit financial reports so that we can see that they are doing what they are supposed to be doing in the finance arena. Think of another concept. Housing, obviously, we're responsible for students who are living in our residence hall 24/7. So we are responsible for making sure that we are doing regular health and safety checks and reporting them when there are health and safety issues connected to their living environment. We also require our student organizations to go through training connected to hazing, alcohol policies, risk management, and so forth. So those are the big ticket items that come out of student affairs in the Dean of Students office.
Thank you so much, everyone. So since we have such an amazing group of presenters, we certainly have almost 22 minutes for questions. And I know it's the lunch hour, so I'm sure everybody's interested in getting on to lunch. I also want to share Monica Smith, who is Assistant to the Vice President for Community Engagement and Chair of the Community Engagement Advisory Group, posted in the chat her sincere thanks for this session, an engaging session. And it's not possible without all of you helping us share this information, particularly to new employees on this campus, and what that means for them, and getting oriented to what MTSU has to offer and the support system in place. So if you've got questions, you can raise your hand and let us know, or you can post those questions in the chat. But you have a tremendous group of administrative leaders represented here, and what a great opportunity to ask those burning questions. We have our first question. Can you tell us more about the Success and Innovation Funds on the Office of Civil Rights Compliance webpage?
Yeah, so that is a program that is funded through the state, where we administer funds for development. It has to be related to student success or programmatic innovation, but those funds are available by application on our webpage.
Christy, is there an amount or a cap related to the fund request?
Yeah, so it's typically, it's typically a $2,500 cap per individual per year. And the funds have to be used by the end of the fiscal year. So if there's an event that runs into like July, that would have to go on the following year's application.
Okay. All right. What other questions do you have?
Kathleen, I would actually, for all the panelists, and I think, what would be, if you had to pick one thing that everybody should know because you see it as a pitfall that people keep hitting, what would it be for your, like Zach, P cards, right? I as soon as I came here, they told me, be careful of P card. Be careful who you're letting use a P card, that type of stuff. So this is all compliance. So to me, I go, what is the one thing that if you had to let everybody know here, don't fall in that rut, don't hit this, what is it for your unit?
All right, so Leah had her hand up like immediately. So Leah, the floor is yours.
2 sets of eyes on every transaction. Don't do anything all by yourself and have it kind of tucked away. And 2 sets of eyes, save the documentation. It'll keep yourself from getting in trouble.
Okay, Laura.
This is a really, really simple thing, but it hangs up every department, and that's with new employees. Make sure that they get their benefits paperwork in immediately, as soon as possible, because what you don't know is that's tied to when they get their banner ID created. So a lot of times we'll say, why don't I have banner access? Why does my employee's card not work? It's because they haven't turned in their benefits paperwork, and I don't know that we've done the job that we need to do to get that word out.
All right, Drew.
You said one, I'm going to pick 3. ignore your advice. The first one is set by a couple of units, but it's if you see something, say something. That's true for safety. That is true for our facilities. That is true for a substantial portion of how we do operations. If you see something that's an issue, please reach out to someone in one of our offices to address what that issue is, whether that's through a work order in facility services, through calling our police line. We need to make sure that the campus is safe. So if you see something, say something. Second, Leah already mentioned it, but it's worth repeating. Keep the documentation. In the land of audit, it's not real if there's no paperwork. So being able to have those things is very helpful to making sure that we as a government entity and agency are being responsible with all of our duties and responsibilities. And the third one, and this is to Laura's point and also to Zach's, plan ahead. The further that you can plan ahead with certain transactions, the easier it is to get them through, and the less running around with your hair on fire.
We
Sorry,
love that. No hair burning.
And I guess
All
I will
right.
pair off.
Yeah.
I'll take a thing on to pair off of that. Just to give you all kind of insight, I know contracts is always kind of a hot button. Just to give a little bit of transparency behind it, and kind of plan ahead. We do offer contracts training. And with that, one thing that comes up time and time again is regarding contracts, planning. What's our expectation? How long should it take for a contract to go through the queue? So just to give you guys a very short version, if it's a standard MTSU contract template, it's 2 to 4 weeks. Typically we can get it done in a week, but we tell you 2 to 4. If it's a vendor templated contract template, meaning it comes from a vendor, if it's Nissan saying, hey, we want to, support our staff and create a leadership development course that MTSU sponsors and hosts, or we're going to pay something, and it's on Nissan's letterhead or their paper, that's going to be 8 to 12 weeks. And then if it's something that's custom that MTSU, our contracts office, I'm very fortunate, not a lot of contract offices have this. I've got 2 contract attorneys. They do not represent the university in a legal capacity. I do have to put that little footnote at the bottom, but they can craft a specific contract template for you. That is also 8 to 12 weeks. The reason being is that takes account for all the time that it takes to get it put in. 2, for them to read a 100-page, document, digest it, redline it, and then send it to, Nissan's legal counsel that is either in country, out of country, and they are very different in timing. They may take them 6 weeks to review it. But I just want to keep that in mind. It's all about planning ahead. We do account for rushes, so if those do come in, we are happy. We will move things to the top of the line to review it, to get it done. But the most important thing is, if it's a rush, let us know. If you put it in and just say, hey, I need it by the end of the week, or my soccer team is already at the hotel and we need a hotel agreement, call us, let us know, reach out to the contract office, reach out to me. I will let them know. It's just extremely important that if there's rushes, we're here to support you. We just need to know about them. And then my final thing on it is plan ahead to echo that. We are sending out quarterly contract reports that tell you all about when your contracts are active. So with that, use that information to help plan ahead. And don't submit a contract after the fact. There is a contract exception memo process. Great call out, Sandra Campbell. You get 10 points for Gryffindor. So that is a great one. But yeah, no, that's all I
Any
got.
other tips? Well, of course, today's weather brings to mind snow and what that may mean for us moving forward. And so any changes in kind of how the university will approach snow closures in the future?
Drew?
Thanks. I think the biggest things are we've left the policy open now to determine who can work and who should be working and who's able to be working, such that administrative leave isn't necessarily the right solution. So if you're able to work from home remotely, given that some of our responsibilities can be done not in the office, that should be the option that we switch to.
Excellent. And Connie asked, was an email sent out to all employees on how to fill out their time sheet or leave report? Or if not, will one be sent out?
There was an email from Jamie Parker sent on Friday, but I'd be glad to send it. Is that to Connie
Kasha.
Kasha? I will send that email. I'll send that back out. But also, it's in the link in the chat. What we sent out.
All right. Any other final questions for our presenters today? Well, I want to give a significant thank you to Chief Kopp for all of his work in organizing this program. He was an amazing wrangler in bringing all of you together for this, and so I really appreciate that. We have not set our schedule for the spring yet. This is the final Get to Know Your MTSU in our series for this fall. And we have recorded these last two programs, and they will hopefully be available through the Community Engagement Advisory Group website soon. And I believe they're working on that. And watch for announcements about our spring programming. So thank you all. Have a fantastic rest of your day and the rest of the month. And don't forget to pay attention to all these fun administrative and compliance things that we talked about today. Thank you to
all
our
for being here.
presenters.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
And Ed, you're going to stop the recording.
Yeah, I will once I hang up. Are you going to have, because it's recording, do you get it?
It'll come to you, and then you need to send it to Monica. And if you want to send it to me, that's fine. But it'll need to go to Monica and Anisha.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.